Hey Tim, how you doing? Nice to
How you
see
doing,
you.
Nick?
See you in LA again.
Again,
Makes a change
yeah.
from dreary UK, although it is raining today, which is a bit rubbish, frankly.
Sunny California, you can't beat it, yeah.
Quite. Tomorrow. So last time we came, we saw the CS12.
That's right.
And we're looking at it again today, and it's further down the line, right?
Yep, the CS12 last April at NAMM. It was, I guess it was naked, really. It was a prototype. Here it is, fully dressed. We've even got matching CS12 clothing to go with it, as you can see, and new Nectar tops.
Very nice.
But anyway, yeah, so here it is, fully dressed, fully finished. The great news is that now we're shipping. It's on the water, so I'd expect to see it in the US come February, and Europe is a little bit harder to predict at the moment, but you know, I'd hope by the end of February that you'll be able to get the CS12 and eventually start using it in your studios.
Oh, nice.
Great.
So I remember the integration was something that you're really proud of. Presumably that's even better now. You've had more time, right?
Yeah, I mean the integration. Yeah, we used the time to good effect. Yeah, we were a little bit later on the shipping date than we'd like, but what hasn't changed is the pricing. We announced the pricing as $3.99 US, €3.99 euros, and for us Brits, it's going to be $3.49.
Right. Okay.
Which is really great value for what you're getting. Like you said, the integration is what makes this unique. We're integrating directly with Logic rather than using MCU, and even MIDI. We're not limited by MIDI bandwidth. Everything's high resolution, and everything is mapped directly in through Logic. It's transparent. There's no wrappers. There's no discrimination about plugin type. It will work with whatever plugins are at the other end, including Logic stock plugins. What I'm going to do is I'll take you through a kind of a quick overview of how it's controlling Logic's channel strips, because really it's a channel strip controller. That's what the CS stands for. And so we'll start there. And then what I want to do is talk about 3 key features that make this different from other controllers and the other controllers that exist before it. A lot of people, there's some skeptics out there who say controllers aren't necessary, largely because when you talk to, I talk to a lot of these people, largely because they're so comfortable with using the mouse. And I get that completely, because if you've worked with Logic for years and years and years, you know your way around it with the mouse. A controller can almost get in the way, but there's certain aspects of a controller that really you do like, which is the tactile control. Okay. So the 3 features I'm going to take you through is the tactile control and how you can control any parameter in Logic using the motorized fader. That's going to be the first one. The second one is going to be how we've simplified writing automation. Really key feature for this. And then the third one is, of course, the plugin mapping technology, which we call it calling InControl Core, and what handles and how this is all handled with the coloring, the mapping, everything kind of pre-mapped for you. But let's start first by talking about the channel strip control. So down here you can see you've got your insert slots. They're color-coded. So I know that by pressing a purple one, I'm going to go to a distortion plugin. I don't necessarily know that it's the bit crusher. But at the top here, you've got the kind of the overview button. There's also banks between available plugins if you've got more than 8. And you can see a very clear overview of your channel strip. You can see bypass slots in grey, and you can see live slots in blue, just like in the Logic mixer.
Right.
Okay. If I wanted to change the bypassing, of course, I've got selecting the plugin by pressing the slot first. But if I wanted to change the bypass, you hold Shift, and you press the slot, and it bypasses the slot. You've also got Shift and the bank button will bypass all of the slots, so that you can have a bit of a reference. Let's just put this on solo, and you can see you can reference before and after. Okay.
Right. Neat.
So you've got all of your insert slots this way. At the bottom you've got sends and channel. Now the colors that these take on is whatever is the selected track. Selected channel. The channel navigation obviously handled by these buttons here. And in this case, obviously the channel's yellow. So the pan pot, the sends and the channel controls will turn yellow.
Yeah.
On the sends button, similar thing to the plugin buttons. I can use Shift to mute my send. This is actually not a feature of Logic. This is a feature that we added ourselves because it's useful. So you can bypass your sends as well. And if you use shift and press the sends button, it bypasses all of the sends and switches them back on again to the last state you were in.
I'd just like to point out here, because we're in weird territory, we're getting a little bit of flickering on these LEDs, but that's not what it looks like at all in the room.
No.
Just to be clear about that, okay?
No, I am quite into disco, but yeah, that's not a part of what you're.
It's to do with the refresh rate of the LEDs and the shutter rate of the camera.
That's
so,
right.
folks, this is
problem.
not what it looks like. I just want to let you know that.
That's okay. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, so that's a quick overview of how you can control the whole of Logic's channel strip. Now, the other feature I wanted to talk about, of course, was hands-on, high-resolution, tactile control. And you can see here that I can go all the way down to like sort of -20, and I'm still getting 0.1 dB adjustments at and beyond -20. I can't. Yep.
Nice
So you've
scaling.
got as much resolution as you need. Now, if I press the select button, it opens up the automation lane. Okay. And this is where the workflow I was talking about, where we're complementing the mouse, comes in. So I can go into my channel strip, and whichever button I select, sends, be it pan, be it a plugin, a third-party plugin works just as well. I've got control of it with this high-resolution fader. You know, why tie it to volume? It's a really useful control. It's one of the most important parts of the product. So we make the most of it, you know, and farm it out to any parameter you want it to be on.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's and we go a little bit further than that as well, because whilst this was useful, I mean, I was doing some sound design the other day and I found myself using this feature. But what was even the little thing like looking down to see where the motor fader moves to was a little bit distracting. So you've got the option to use select, tap the fader to mute it and get it out of the way, and you can carry on doing that, but with a rotary instead.
Right.
Yeah. Now the resolution is super high, okay, and that's because of this button over here. The magnifying glass shows me that I've got fine control on. I turn fine control off. I'm back to a little bit more, but basically kind of like MIDI level resolution. Turn on the fine control, and you're back, you know, to, like I said, full 10-bit level resolution, more than 1,024 steps per rotary. Cool. Let's turn the fader back on. So yeah, so you can control any parameter in your channel strip using the select mode. Now let's take a look at automation. That was the second thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, that could be such a pain to use, isn't it? I mean, I like automation, but
Yeah.
it's really easy to get in a mess and just go, oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got lots of different levels of automation. The standard Logic ones are at the top. Latch, of course, we'll turn it on. Let's just go to the start of the track so we're not overwriting too much. And let's also, because we've got selected parameter mode on, let's automate the volume of this track. And of course, you can record a latch. And that's okay, but then look how many points there are. And if I zoom in using the zoom control on
yeah.
and yeah, let's just get rid of all the plugins so we can see what we're doing. Notice how I'm doing all that from the controller.
Yeah, absolutely.
Loads and loads, because it's so high resolution, you get loads of automation parameters. Nightmare to edit, okay? That's one of the things that puts people off using control surfaces for automation. I get that. So what we've added, and the second thing is, how often do you forget that it's on and leave it there, then turn loads of parameters?
And you've written
it's
it all
even more important when you've got so many of them at hand here, right? Yeah, you've suddenly written loads of automation in. Really annoying and difficult to undo. So what we've added are 3 Nectar modes for automation. The first one is particularly useful. Single point, fader only. And what this does is it writes a point when you touch the fader, and it writes a point when you release the fader. And you can adjust those points, even adjust those points as well. So you're getting a perfectly straight line.
Right, so
and
you're using the curves that are built in, yeah.
You can go along, draw in your automation curve now, you see, like so, and adjust it.
So it's sort of also like a combination between latch and hold as well, in a way.
It is. Yeah. And if you do want to use automation auto, if you wanted to use latch and touch, we've got additional modes called, we showed this at the show back in August. We had auto touch, which is automation on when it's touching, but it automatically turns it off when you're not.
Right.
And in a similar way, we added auto because it's
that usually happens when you stop playing. The auto is, you've got to stop it to write it effectively.
Well, the important thing about those three modes, those Nectar modes, is that automation is completely limited to the motorized fader. Like I said, we're getting the most out of this motorized fader, as you can probably tell, and making use of it. So you can go away and tweak your controls without any risk of writing automation accidentally. Okay?
Nice.
Now, the third feature I wanted to talk about, of course, is our deep level of plugin mapping. So I think we showed maybe 2 or 3 plugins when we were there last. One of them was this compressor. But I'm going to show you, it's actually a really good example of how the mapping works. It's all handled by our plugin mapping technology control core, which works transparently with any plugin that's seen at the other end, okay? And it's not just the color coding that makes things easier, but it's the fact that when you update the circuit type, so if I select, let's turn the fine control off, which will be much easier. The classic one, you can see that I've got a different type of, and the controls will update.
So it maps that as well. Is that using MIDI 2.0 stuff, the query, or is it something else?
It's not MIDI 2.0. This is what I think a lot of people want and expect from MIDI 2.0.
You bet, yeah.
But it's here now for Logic users. It's what Nectar integration and what Control Core does. But with MIDI 2.0, I mean, the Control Core is like a separate entity. It's written in a way where, should we come to be able to support MIDI 2.0, which of course we're very interested in, we just write the front end of MIDI 2.0 and you get all of that plugin mapping, via, as long as we're getting the plugin parameters coming from MIDI 2, we know exactly what to do. It's kind of like it's oven ready, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah.
So this is very much future-proof technology. You're in safe hands with Nectar. So anyway, so we selected the classic VCA. That doesn't have the 3 parameters at the bottom. So you can see it frees up these 3 parameters down here. Right. We have a page for the sidechain. But perhaps you want to actually add the sidechain to this page. All you have to do, hold down Shift, move the control, and then it maps it. There you go.
Right, neat.
Super simple and easy to do. And all of this is handled by Control Core. Okay, and because it's its separate entity, it means it can be leveraged into all of our other DAW integration. So whilst this is currently a Logic controller, this part will be leveraged straight over to Steinberg next. That'll be our next project.
Right. Okay.
And all of the other DAWs, of course, we're going to do them one by one, so we can roll out the DAW integration and do the product justice. Market it accordingly, do some tutorial videos accordingly, so that when whether you're a Steinberg user or a Logic user, you're going to get a dedicated control surface for your DAW, and it's going to be presented as such.
Right, nice. So you say these are on the water coming in.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
These are on the water coming in.
Yep.
Logic users are going to be getting the best bits first.
Yep.
Is it possible to map it in a more kind of ad hoc way as well? Sort of just.
Yeah. So let's have a look. So we have. We go to a UAD plugin here. This particular UAD plugin we haven't mapped purposefully at the moment for that demo. So you can see straight away. It doesn't matter what the plugin is, you're always going to have control over it, even if Nectar hasn't mapped it yet, like this one, okay? You've got a quick page A and page B, and you see you've got all the parameters presented there. As you saw, you've got the ad hoc mapping that we did with the shift and the select, like so. But at the same time, you've also got the ability to use shift, and then press the data menu button to turn learn mode on. And now whichever control I move, I can map it.
Oh,
so
right,
it's super easy to do.
And that, presumably, you could set that up so that it works globally in Logic, can't you, rather than on a per document way?
Actually, no, this is all still in Control Core. So whilst I've made that mapping now, if I want to save it, you've got a choice of either you just want it as a temporary mapping. If you want to save it, well, you're in Learn Mode's data menu, and you can see here you've got the Save button, you've got Clear One, Clear All to clear the pages and start again. The other thing, the other way of doing mapping, and to get page labels as well. The other way of doing that is via our Nectarine software, which is supporting the Panorama CS12. and we'll give you a graphical editor for mapping, which makes, and you can really go to town with different pages.
And I guess that way you could also just kind of bunch stuff out to whatever
that's
MIDI
right.
controls and, you know,
That's right. Colouring is handled by, let's just not learn that, because that would be a potential problem. So I'm going to hold shift, and you can change the colour of the controls.
Oh, right, nice.
By turning these colours we talked about at the start. The colours of these colours are defined also in the plugin map. It's also part of Control Core. Similar thing. Hold down the button and select the colour by changing the
right. Okay.
By changing the thing. So basically,
I mean, colour coding is such a key thing when you're doing UI stuff, because it makes it much quicker to just visually get to, and smart.
Yes. Like, look at this example here. This is the Pro EQ3, right? This is a third-party plugin. But look at the colouring and the mapping. You know, you can see I've got my blue. I know that here's my pink one, so I know that I'm going to be able to turn the pink one on and off. That's why colour coding is so important.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, it does two things. Firstly, it links you to the plugin more closely, and secondly, it separates out different control sections, like we saw with the compressor as well. Nice.
So on the water, in the building soon. When are we going to see it actually in stores?
Yeah, like I said, I'd say USA. I'd say probably February, reliably. Europe and UK, it's a little bit harder to tell.
Right.
Things they are. They're on the water. That's all
Depends whether
say.
the canal's open. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Excellent, Tim. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks, Stuart.